Yeah, I don't have any questions about that. So.
Okay, we are live to the world.
Hello, world. How much time do we have? Oh, a couple minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes? Okay.
Hello, intrawebs.
Hello, Internet.
I can hear Mike. Am I supposed to hear Mike?
No,
I hope you can hear me.
No, there you are.
No mic today.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
I'm just going to stand here and look pretty.
That's my line.
I guess I'll have to stand here and look handsome then.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Woo. My watch just gave me like 100 updates in a row. My gosh.
Hello, Castor364 from Wales.
Focus on the main set. We can do. You want
I
to do that
just
now?
hit a button when he sits down.
Yeah.
The depth on this one shouldn't have changed, but I just need to adjust that
Okay,
far
let's
camera.
get this out of tablet mode.
When he sits, the camera's just on him. Just adjust that.
Oh, that only charged at 3%. That was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just
And then
need to
I moved
adjust it.
everything back and
Well, the chair should have been in the right spot, right?
negative. There's tape on it, so I put it back where the tape was.
Right.
Okay.
So the tape's back on this.
Yeah, but I don't know if like.
Would I be able to
It's all that other fun stuff.
use my laptop for the news section
Yeah.
instead of this?
Okay.
Okay, because this didn't charge overnight, so
You want the other one?
if we can log into the other one, that would be
Right,
fantastic.
that's the problem. Right.
Yep. Cool. All the things.
But I don't know what the password is.
Yeah.
The password,
1, 2, 3, 4,
The password is Ben is incredible.
5. That's never the password.
It's not long enough for Ben.
That's wait. What?
wait,
No.
huh? Wait a second.
Hello, Green Jim.
Speaking of which, I don't know if anybody has seen the if anyone saw the Falcon 9 on the LC-39A.
Yes.
It looks wrong to me.
Because the sprung back is on the press site.
No, it's not because of the strong back. It's because it looks like a single solid rocket booster is on the pad without the rest of the shuttle.
Right. There's that too.
Who left this Ares 1 here?
I was looking at it. I was like, I don't like it. Well, and you know, I'm not a shuttle hugger. Like, you know that's not me. But I was just like, it doesn't look great. So sad. So terrible.
I always like that image of the, what's it called? The solid rocket boosters just standing by themselves. That always cracks me up when I see that. 'Cause it's like, you forgot the rest of it.
And that's what it looks like. It's weird.
Right?
I'm sorry, you guys.
It's no, it is.
Green Jim too. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin that for anybody. I just
Wow.
That really was my initial thought when I saw it. Was like, oh, that's weird. This is really terrible. I was walking out of work yesterday, and there's a lot of excitement at work, of course, for this sort of thing. And there's a couple of screens that, like big screens, like Mike's screen, kind of hanging around, and some people have kind of commandeered a couple so they can see the live shots and what have you. And I'm walking out with one of my newest baristas, and I said, "Oh, that shot," because he hasn't seen it. So we walked over so he could kind of see what I was talking about, and I said, "Oh, you know what's really funny? Right where that camera is, that camera view, there's like a gate, like a fence." Like, I have a picture there. And so I kind of went through. I have a picture of George Schellinger, Tim Bailey, Ben, and I standing at this gate at the end of that road that leads right up to LC39A. And there was, I mean, so I have this picture, and it was nearly the exact same perspective. I was like, see? And so my barista's looking at it, and he looks at the picture, and he looks at my picture, and he looks at the, video, and looks back at my picture, and he's like, yeah, it doesn't really fill a pad, does it? I was like, see? Okay, it's not just me. It's not just me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I mean, it's just different, and different is good, and everything changes, blah, blah, blah. Whatever
Different
Ben would say here.
Is good.
Like, it totally flipped me out.
That's funny.
It made me laugh.
What are we at? 2 minutes out?
Cha.
Yep, I can't for the life of me get lower thirds to work.
Awesome.
Making me.
We'll do it in post. We'll do it in post.
I know, it's just frustrating to not have it.
Bucket? Am I supposed to have a bucket? What are we talking about?
What? Wait.
I don't know.
Your apple crate?
I'm standing on it.
Yeah. Carrie Ann is on the
Jared's
apple
just
box.
really, really tall.
I am a tall person.
See?
So. I'm ahead of both.
Even if I adjust my camera to make myself taller, Jared's aerodynamics still goes above the TV.
That's
also
true.
true.
And it's only getting longer. And Mike, I think I'm the tallest of tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're. How tall
I
are you?
think
Like
so.
6'1", 6'2", or just
6'3".
6 foot? 6'3". Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I cannot fit in a
Yeah.
Soyuz. So.
Yeah, I'm 5'11", so
You'll fit.
I'm 5'4".
You'll have plenty of room.
definitely fit.
Stoge is probably like screaming at the TV right now.
I can fit.
I'm 4'10". She's not. She's taller than that, but not by a lot.
Well, the correspondence of
She
tomorrow.
is not. She's 4'9" and 3/4.
I don't think she is. I think she really is like 5'1", but she just looks like significantly shorter than me.
NASA Jim's here. Hey, NASA Jim.
Hi, Nessa Jim.
Glad to have you back.
Alright, I think we're.
Stoge is screaming at the mini TV. That's funny. Oh, you guys are funny.
All right.
Thank you. The shirt was a gift.
Okay, things and stuff.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
That's funny.
I can play this. Do it, video card. Do it.
Just it reminds me of back in the day when you're trying to sign on to like AOL.com. Trying to dial in. Yeah, that's what that reminds me of. That's like the same thing, right?
Oh man.
I know, Mike, you're too young. I got it.
No. I remember.
I remember that.
That should be the open. Okay.
Everybody ready?
Sure. As ready as we'll ever
We
be.
should all just make dial-up noises as we open.
No, we should not.
Okay. Guess not.
Carrie Ann,
What do
you're
you
doing
mean?
this one, right?
Yes, I think so. I'm going to try.
Do we need to get the giggles out first, real quick?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Welcome to 10.06. That was really unexpected, but that's exactly what our director does. So I'd like to do at the top of the show is give a huge shout out to our Patreon patron. I can't do it. We need to start that one over. I'm just saying all
but
kinds
I
of words.
spazzed so well.
I know.
Should we have to do
Donna!
that again?
Welcome to Orbit 10.06. I am Carrie, and with me is Jared and Mike and Adana behind me. But at the top of the show, I want to make sure I give a huge shout out to all of our Patreon members. These are the Patreon people who are of the escape velocity. That's what I'm trying to read off on the screen. These are the people who've given us $10 or more for this particular segment of this particular episode. Ben says I spend too much time on this, so I'm talking really, really fast. These are the people who, of course, get access to our Slack channel, which is really awesome because it's like a weird insight to everyone's mind of what we're thinking about at any given point in time. Sometimes about the show, sometimes not. In any case, if you would like to get your name talked over on the show, go head on over to patreon.com/TMRO. There. That was fast, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
In case I didn't cover this one more time, I'm Carrie. This is Jared. That's Mike. There's a Donna. Woo! All right, Mike. So this is like, I have to point this out really, really quickly. It's one of the very few shows we don't open with launches.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
this week or
been
last
such a
week.
rare
It's a little
occasion.
sad.
It is a little bit sad, but that's okay. It's going to start up again, and the next thing you know, there'll be no more space news. It'll only be launches for like 10 minutes, so that's okay.
I think that's going to happen in the next week.
Right, exactly.
So.
Yeah, we have some cool ones next week that'll hopefully take off. So
For sure.
that'll be
So
awesome.
in the meantime, give me some space news. What's going on the International Space Station?
Oh man, so this is some really cool news. So NanoRacks, which builds experiment modules to go up to the International Space Station, is teamed up with Boeing to build an airlock to deploy CubeSats and microsatellites.
Oh.
And this is a really awesome deal. What they're planning on doing, you can see in the picture there, they're going to try to attach this to Node 3, the Tranquility module. And you can see the cupola there, and the port that they want to put the airlock on is actually occupied right now by one of the PMA adapters that was used to dock with the space shuttle, but that's going to be moved to the bottom port of the Node 2, the Harmony module, and that's going to be used for commercial crew vehicles, so that'll free up that port for this commercial airlock. Now, they're hoping that it will be connected to the International Space Station by 2019, and by the way, they did announce this this whole deal on Monday, and just to be clear, it's not for spacewalks by astronauts. It's not big enough for that.
You know what's really sad is I was going to ask, because every time I hear airlock, I think just, throw them out the airlock. And so that's good. No humans can get out of this one. Perfect. Thank you. Go on.
Yeah. Now, with this, there is the empty port that you can see on the kind of right-hand side of the screen there is currently occupied by Bigelow's Beam module, the Bigelow Expandable Activity module. And that hopefully will have an extended stay and hopefully might still be there when they finally do attach this module in 2019, and hopefully there's no delays with it. And it'll be able to be delivered to the International Space Station in the trunk of the Dragon cargo vessel. And after the PMA-3 is moved to the port on Node 2, the bottom port on Node 2, then that'll help to free that up, and hopefully there's just more stuff that happens. I mean, there was an announcement a couple months ago that on the Columbus module on the European side, there's going to have a experiment rack that's going to go there. So I'm just really excited about all these commercial updates and ways that we can utilize the space station for the last remaining years of its service, and hopefully we can even extend it out a little bit. And I like that picture there because it kind of demonstrates a lot how it will actually open. I mean, it's just going to slide open, and then whatever payload they have inside will be able to deploy from there. So
Nice.
Hopefully a lot of cool missions will happen from this.
So Destructor 1701 is saying, looking at this airlock, I see the grapple fixture, but where's the door? I was kind of having trouble finding that as well. So it connects to the International Space Station via the node, and presumably there's a door between the two? Is that...
Yeah, there's a door between the two. The type of port that it's going to go to is one of the berthing ports, not one of the docking ports.
Okay.
And they're going to have a special mechanism, kind of like on the Kibo module, how they have mechanisms on the pressurized section so that the astronauts can load whatever CubeSat or small satellite they're going to go into, and then put it into the airlock all the way, close the hatch on their side, and then the hatch, I'm assuming, will slide open from the front there and deploy whatever satellite that they have in there. So that's going to be really cool. And that graphic you saw just a moment ago is the current configuration of the space station right now. So
Nice.
very cool.
And these are just CubeSats and nanosats and any sort of tiny little thing that a NanoRack would normally hold?
Yeah, sort of. It's going to be bigger than the Kibo airlock, so they will be able to put a couple of larger payloads in there. Just all depends on what experiments they have in there. But I'm not sure the exact dimensions for it, but they definitely will be able to get your microsatellite size, which is actually bigger than a CubeSat, and you could potentially have like a 12-unit CubeSat deploy from this, which is the biggest configuration that they have of those so far. So
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Jared.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of more things in space, eh?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about removing some of those more things from
Yeah,
space.
because that's kind of an issue, or at least it's going
Lots
to be.
of things.
Yeah, so the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency's resupply ship, the HTV-6, attempted a space debris experiment, but unfortunately that experiment failed. Now, HTV-6 was launched on December 9th, 2016 with about 4,000 kilograms of supplies and experiments and 6 lithium-ion batteries to upgrade the International Space Station's power systems. And once all that was outloaded, they did the typical thing you do with a resupply ship, which is that they loaded it with trash, and they also put 9 unneeded batteries back into it before they released it on January 27th. Now, HTV-6 was to have released a 700-meter-long tether to test a technique to deorbit space debris. And this tether would have used what's called electroconductivity in order to see if they could use it to actually slow down HTV-6. And the experiment was called Kunitori Integrated Tether Experiment, and Space Mike or the internet can correct me if I got that correct
Right.
or wrong.
I believe so.
Now,
Yeah, Kunitori, that's how you pronounce it.
yeah, which I believe means stork in Japanese.
Yeah, stork.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so beautiful that they were able to name it that. Now, one of the 4 bolts that was holding down the end mass of the tether did not release. So unfortunately, this experiment, which was to see if you actually could use a tether to slow down satellites to eventually deorbit them, they didn't get to do it. So hopefully they'll be able to pick that up on another mission coming up, because I think there's still a couple HTVs left, and it'd be really cool to see them do that. But unfortunately, this attempt at the experiment has failed.
That's so
Interesting.
sad.
Yeah, but that's the
Seems
way
like
it works.
there's always problems whenever there's some sort of tether experiment. Do you remember that space shuttle mission where they did a tether mission and it got like electrically charged and detached from the space shuttle, and they had all those weird like lights flying around it and stuff like that? There's always something weird whenever they do tether experiments.
Yeah, it seems like they've not had a lot of good good experiments with tethers in space. It always seems like something snaps. I can't get it to spin up to proper speed. The bolt won't unlock. It always seems like there's always something that goes on with it. So
It's weird.
doggone it.
Ironic,
Aw, shucks.
Ironically, that was the sound the bolt made.
Oh.
Okay, moving right along. Not for this to be a depressed episode, because that is not what we're trying to go for. Mike, you've got some DARPA news. Tell me some more about what's going on there.
So speaking of experiments in space, DARPA formally announced on Thursday that they have awarded a contract to Space Systems Laurel to build the satellite bus for a satellite resurfacing mission. And with this, they're planning on building satellites that would have arms that would be able to connect to a satellite in geosynchronous orbit, potentially move it around to different orbits, upgrade it if need be with new equipment, and even like repair any sort of faulty instruments like that. Like even in the picture that you see there, like there's several times where a solar panel won't deploy, and that would be great to be able to deploy that and get the full amount of service out of whatever satellite was launched. Now with this, there actually is a little bit of drama around this, but before I get into that, I do just want to explain a little bit more about the program. It's officially called the Robotic Servicing of Geosynchronous Satellites, or the RSGS program, and it'll not only be capable of inspecting the satellites and reboosting them, but doing the simple repairs on them, and it's expected to launch, or at least be built, by 2021. Now, this program also complements a satellite servicing mission that NASA is doing called Restore-L, and both of them aim to provide service and refuel satellites if possible. Now, the drama that I mentioned earlier has to do with Orbital ATK, which filed a lawsuit on Tuesday against DARPA, saying that their program violates U.S. policies which prohibit government from competing with the commercial sector. Now, what you see on your screen right now now is Orbital ATK's mission extension vehicle. And their plan isn't necessarily to refuel a satellite, but to take over its propulsion and maneuvering capabilities for a satellite to augment it. Now, the reason why they're having such a problem with the DARPA announcement with awarding their contract to Space Systems Laurel, which, by the way, is a $15 million fixed price contract, which I love, and they believe that Space Systems Laurel will have an unfair advantage because they'll be able to use that spacecraft, the DARPA experiment spacecraft, for commercial use that is paid for by DARPA once the demo mission is complete. So right now they're kind of having to, NASA and DARPA are both kind of having to figure out what the aftermath of some of these demo experiments will be. And after the mission is over, will everything transfer over to Space Systems Laurel, or will it still be a DARPA satellite? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered so that all the parties involved are happy and we don't have a government program competing with the commercial sector and giving unfair advantage to different companies. So, I mean, I feel like if Orbital ATK had won the contract, I wonder how things would be playing out right now. But I mean, at the same time, they do have a good point. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this works out. But in any case, hopefully this will launch in 2021 and we'll be able to save a lot of satellites out there that either have had minor problems that shorten their life a little bit, or still have perfectly good hardware that just need a little bit of fuel to keep their station keeping abilities and stuff like that. So I'm excited about stuff like this. I want to be able to reuse as much stuff in space as possible. So I really like programs like this. Anyway, that's what's going on with DARPA and Orbital.
Yeah, that's super messy. I guess I didn't even think about it like that, because it, as space geeks, as space nerds, we all, all ships rise with the tide, right? So we want these things. It's like, oh, it's just the one. It's okay. You just go over there and pull it out. It'll be fine. Like, not a big deal. Like, all those sorts of things. Like, we're really excited about this being an idea. And then it's like, okay, fine. Well, you helped. And then what? Now is it yours? Or what's going on? Like, that's I never even thought about it like that. That's very interesting. Hopefully,
and something else too with this is the part that has all the robotic arms that'll actually be doing the servicing. That's going to be built by DARPA. So we haven't seen the contract yet, but I don't think they're going to be transferring that technology over to Space Systems Laurel. They're just providing the satellite bus for this. So there might not even be any sort of technology transfer. But there's still the question of what happens to that particular satellite once the demo mission is over.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
see.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. All right. This is like a really heavy news segment, you guys.
What a downer.
All right, Jared, I don't think this one's going to make us much happier, but that's okay. Tell me more.
Well, no, this is a very happy story to me.
All right, yeah, well, it's cooperation.
Yeah, it's cooperation. It's carpooling to orbit.
Carpooling
or
to
rocket
orbit.
pooling, whatever you
wow.
prefer. But Iridium and NASA are actually going to be hitching a ride together in 2018. And 5 Iridium satellites and NASA's Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment follow-on twin satellites will be flying on a single Falcon 9 in 2018. Now, those 5 Iridium satellites are going to be deployed into the Iridium constellation, while Grace Follow-on, which is what we're going to call it, is a collaboration between NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the German Research Center for Geosciences. Now, what that mission does is it tracks changes in the Earth's gravitational field, and when it does, you can see things like where's water going, how's the climate changing, and other things like that. Now, Grace is a mission that's currently operating, so it's basically the same system, except Grace Follow-on is going to be a little bit more sensitive. So Grace Follow-on is going to be launched into a polar orbit about 500 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, and there's going to be a 220-kilometer gap between the two satellites, and laser ranging systems will detect changes of distances by 0.002 of a millimeter over that 220-kilometer gap. So that's literally, a human hair has more width than that.
Yeah.
So it's a very sensitive laser instrumentation that they have on board of that, and it's one of my favorite missions because it makes those weird looking gravity maps of the Earth, where like the Earth is bulging out of one side and it's compressed in the other, and it's great with all the data that we can get from it. And it's great that you can actually now ride share, if you will, these missions together. So,
And these are going to be the Iridium Next satellites, right?
Yes, Iridium Next. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, this is a part
I
of the
find it really interesting. I wonder if the Grace satellites are built by the same people, because they have that same kind of like half-step pyramid design, so that they can have all of them in there. So like, I wonder if we'll even be able to tell the difference when we see pictures of them, like putting all of the satellites together in the payload. If we can tell the difference between the Iridium Next and the Grace satellites.
I do know the Grace satellites are being built by Airbus Defence. So I don't think the Iridium ones are being built by Airbus Defence. So that's at least what I know about them. So
makes sense though that they're both the same shape. It'll be a nice fit.
Go figure.
That's totally where those contracts are made, right? Well, I don't know. What's yours look like?
What's yours look like?
Oh,
look, they're the same.
Cool.
How big's yours? Hey, yours is the same size, but we can fit it in here, Tetris style.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Some more slightly sad news, although everybody is safe. Mike, tell me about a tornado.
Yeah, we're talking about a tornado that struck down in East New Orleans to the Michoud assembly facility. And this is NASA's facility that is building the Space Launch System core stages and the Orion capsule. And holy cow, this happened on Tuesday at 17:25 Coordinated Universal Time. And just check this out. You can see the tornado engulfing one of the buildings there. And like you said, NASA has accounted for all 3,500 employees who worked at the site. However, 5 of them did sustain minor injuries. Now, most of the hardware that is used to construct Orion and the Space Launch System, along with a really big one-of-a-kind vertical weld tool needed to fuse together the tanks for it, were pretty much undamaged. However, the roofs of those buildings that hardware is kept in have been damaged, and workers are really busy to try to plug a lot of the holes there and to protect the equipment while they're trying to restore power to the facility. Now, the Pegasus barge, which is a reconverted ship that is used to transport the core stage and was previously used for the shuttle external tanks as well, also was able to weather the storm and is pretty much relatively undamaged. And that's going to be transporting the stages from New Orleans to Cape Canaveral. So kind of a lucky break that this tornado, which caused a lot of damage to nearby New Orleans. And there was about 200 cars in the parking lot, and there's a picture here that you'll see in just a moment that kind of shows an example of how some of these cars were demolished there. But it really is amazing that there wasn't any sort of casualties and that they were able to get out really quickly. I mean, they are prepared for this. I mean, the last time that they had some major damage to the Michoud assembly facility was back in Hurricane Katrina. And there's that picture I was talking about. One of the cars that's just smashed there. Yeah. So there's a lot of hardware on the outside that has been destroyed. And in fact, one of the test articles for the shuttle external tank actually flew in the air for a little while before crashing down. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any pictures of that, but that's just that's pretty crazy and kind of sad that piece of hardware, which we were never going to use again. It was just going to on display. I mean, that was just used to make sure that we could stack, the solid rocket boosters and the space shuttle together back before we actually started. I mean, even before we started doing like the Enterprise free flying tests. So still kind of sad, but all the hardware, all the important hardware to move forward with the Space Launch System and Orion was undamaged. So I feel like this is a pretty lucky break, and that no one was seriously hurt either. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's some scary stuff. Crazy. All right, and then to finish off space news, Jared, of course, you would pull this one out. You got a bit of a brain teaser, as it were.
Something's wrong on Mars, and we really can't, and we have a problem kind of trying to figure out what it is. So there's this very big mystery that's happening on Mars. Thanks to the various missions that have gone to Mars, we know that there's water that was once on the surface of Mars, and not only was there water, it was liquid water, and there was a lot of liquid water on the surface of Mars. But new data from Curiosity seems to be contradicting what we would expect in order for the conditions for liquid water to exist there. So scientists hypothesized that Mars had a very thick carbon dioxide atmosphere that allowed this water to be a liquid. And one of the key things in order for liquid water to exist is you have to have the right temperature range, and you have to have a certain amount of pressure so that the atmosphere or whatever is generating the pressure pushes the molecules together so it allows water's liquid state to form. Now, this would lead to carbonates, a type of chemical interaction between the atmosphere and the water, to be found in rock samples. But to the surprise of all of these scientists, there are no carbonates being found in rock samples from Curiosity's instruments. So this is not exactly a new surprise for scientists. They've known about this since we started sampling the surface even as far back as the Viking spacecraft. But this is an extra piece of data for the puzzle to try to figure out how Mars could have had liquid water without a thick carbon dioxide atmosphere. So now what we've got to do is we've got to go back to our models and look at everything and see if we need to maybe modify those models a little bit to try to figure out what the big deal is here. Maybe we need to put more hydrogen in the atmosphere, or maybe we need to put more argon in the atmosphere, or something other than carbon dioxide in order to allow that thickness of the atmosphere to be, the thickness of the atmosphere to be there. So just a little cosmic puzzle that Mars kind of likes to throw at us every time we go and study it. So
Interesting.
Interesting.
All right,
That
something
would be really
new, I
surprising.
Huh?
That'd be really surprising if it is like one of those rare gases like argon that was like plentiful there. That would just be amazing.
That would be bizarre
Right.
but very awesome at the same time.
Interesting.
That's crazy interesting. Okay, so that wraps up news, which means we're going to take a break, which means I get to sit down. And then when we come back, Mike gets to sit down too, I suppose. Jared also gets to sit down, and Dutta's
Yes.
always sitting down, so that's everybody's status now. You've got it. Jared is going to come back and have an interview with Ralph Ewig, who is the CEO of Audacy Space. We're going to be talking about like a teacher sort of situation going on. Y'all are going to have to explain this to me.
Yeah.
I've
explain
got
it.
questions.
I think we'll talk about it in great detail. So,
Perfect.
sounds pretty good to me.
All right, good.
So,
So
awesome.
stay with us. That's coming up next.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with awesome expectation, this girl's a fascination. Nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving. The heat keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
Give us just a minute to reset, please.
All right. Hey, Ralph, I just wanted to ask, is it Audacity? Odyssey? As I was thinking it was,
Did I say Audacity?
You
I
did, but yeah, it's actually
I'm so sorry.
no, it's all right.
Say it one more time so he hears it correctly.
it is Audacy.
Odyssey, just like 2001. That's exactly
It's
how
like
I,
2001, yeah. You got it.
exactly how I expected it. All right.
I am so sorry. Definitely apologize on my behalf,
Oh,
Jared.
you're not the first to make that mistake. Don't worry about it.
Well, but still, like, I could be called, I could have said Robert Ewing, I suppose, but that's also not correct. Like, none of that makes any sense now. Oh my goodness, I'm very sorry. That's what happens when you read things live on air. All right, Dada, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm just ready for Jared. You good?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm as ready as I'll be.
Walking in front of cameras, almost out.
Walking in front of cameras, we're getting this. Let me just get my Surface set up here since I had to go back and redo that real quick. So, sorry about that. Okay. You ready, Ralph?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome back to Tomorrow. Now, before we get to our interview, of course, we want to thank all of the patrons of Tomorrow by starting with our patrons of the Escape Velocity variety who give us $10 or more per episode. They get access to our Slack channel and all the other fun things that we do. But we've also got our Orbital members. These folks give us anywhere from $5 to $9.99 per episode. They get free worldwide swag store shipping. So if you want to buy something from us, you get free shipping from anywhere in the world with it. Isn't that awesome? I think it's pretty awesome. So if you would like to help contribute and crowdfund the shows of tomorrow, consider heading on over to patreon.com/TMRO. Now, I've got a very interesting interview here today. A lot of you know I'm a recovering aerospace engineer, so this is very, very fascinating to me. I've got Ralph Ewig from Audacy Space with us today. He's the CEO. Welcome to tomorrow, and welcome to our observation deck, Ralph.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the invitation. But yeah, it's actually just Audacy. So we use Audacy Space on our domain name, but the company name is just Audacy.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and stick with Audacy because that just sounds pretty awesome to begin with. So, Ralph, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sure, we can start there. Actually, I was born in Germany, so if you want to say it, I'm a German rocket scientist, which is something I like to use on the dating scene when I was still dating. Now I'm married, but anyway. So yeah, born in Germany. I came to the United States in '92 and went to Seattle, University of Washington, to get a PhD in aerospace engineering. Since then, I've worked in pretty much every space company there's out there. I've been around quite a bit. But most recently, I worked at SpaceX for about 3 years. And then from there, I went back to school at Stanford to get a business degree. And that's where I started Audacy with my two co-founders, and that brings us to today.
Excellent. So, of course, why don't we just go right into it? Tell us a little bit about Audacy, because as I was researching the company and you and everybody with it, it was fascinating reading your Tumblr that you had, where all those little updates happened, and that was just fantastic to see the documentation of it like that. So just tell us a little bit about Audacy.
Yeah, Audacy was an interesting idea. It really started when I was at SpaceX. My role at SpaceX was mission operations. So I was working in the mission operations room, and my primary responsibility was for communications. Now, because Flying Dragon to the International Space Station is a NASA mission, we had access to an existing relay system that NASA uses called TDRS, or TDRS, which stands for Telemetry and Data Relay System. But essentially, I saw the contrast between being able to operate with continuous connectivity using that system versus using a collection of ground stations, which was the alternative when it wasn't available. And I thought, this is brilliant. People should do this all the time. Why don't they? And of course, the answer was you can't, because TDRS was not meant for commercial use primarily. It's mostly used by the government, and very little capacity is available for commercial use. So the idea was like, hey, here's a commercial opportunity. Let's pursue this. And I went to Stanford to understand the whole money thing. Got a degree in business, so I moved to the dark side, being an engineer myself. and yeah, you saw this journey on my Tumblr blog. You know, it was humble beginnings of just 3 guys, myself and my 2 co-founders, and now we're a team of 14 and still growing, which is great.
So, how important is having data relay for spacecraft? Is it as important as certain other aspects of designing a spacecraft?
It's an interesting problem. In the past, most of the activity in space has been in the geostationary belt. So if you're looking at geostationary satellites, that's that special orbit where you appear to be standing still in the sky. And in that case, you have line of sight between your satellite and your ground station, so it's easy to maintain connectivity. However, more recently, with the move to smaller and smaller satellites, a lot of the activity has taken place in not geostationary orbits. So we're looking at low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, and then also going beyond geostationary to the moon potentially. The challenge there is that in a low orbit, you're going around the planet once every 90 minutes, approximately, and you only have connectivity as you have line of sight over your ground station, and that window can be as short as 15 minutes. So you have this intermittent way of operating where you get a little bit of connectivity, you have to wait, you get a little bit of connectivity, and it's very hindering in terms of commercial use of your space assets. So when it comes to getting more value out of the things that you put into space, or just bringing astronauts closer to the audience, being able to see in real time what's going on, connectivity actually has a huge play in this.
So what kind of services is Audacy looking to deliver to the industry?
In the simplest sense, you can think of us as a cell phone company for space. So we're literally like a cell phone network, except that our users are people that own and operate objects in space rather than phones on the ground. And Pete Worden at NASA Ames actually once coined this phrase, which we like to use, which is we provide a dial tone in space. That's really all it is. So it's just that simple. You can take a piece of equipment with you on your satellite, launch vehicle, space station, what have you, and just connect to the ground and then via the internet to anybody on the planet in real time. And we just bill you by the minute, just like a cell phone carrier would.
Awesome. Literally like cell phone communications in space. So would you be able to actually like sort of call up, if you will, a certain satellite, or would you be able to communicate between satellites using your network?
Yeah, we can do both. So the system's pretty flexible. It's symmetric in data speed, so you can have the same throughput going out on a forward link or coming back on a return link. And we can connect actually satellites to each other as well. So there are a lot of use cases which people are still discovering, which we hadn't even thought of, that are enabled by this. And that's really the point. We want to make space as accessible and as easy to use as possible. And communications is one of those things that everybody takes for granted on the ground, but it's actually quite hard once you're up there.
So how does Audacy intend to deliver these services? Because it sounds like it might be quite a challenge in order to do something like that. So how do you intend to deliver the data relay services?
Yeah, it is an undertaking of a considerable size to some degree. Essentially, we're building what I'd like to call interplanetary infrastructure, which sounds really cool when you're trying to recruit people. So, by the way, if you're looking for a job, anybody out there, we are hiring, so feel free to apply. But aside from that, the way this works is we deploy 3 satellites of our own, which go into a specialized orbit, mostly above of the LEO crowd. It's a medium Earth orbit, approximately 20,000 kilometers out from Earth. And those 3 satellites act like a relay system. And you can see it in the picture here. They're in a very special orbit. This orbit is called a 3x1 harmonic resonance orbit. What that means is it goes around the planet 3 times in the time the Earth rotates once. So 3x1 harmonic resonance. And the reasons for that placement were in part tied to regulatory matters, to technical feasibility, but also economic viability. And then with those 3 satellites and 2 ground stations, we'll be able to achieve continuous connectivity for pretty much anywhere between solid ground to the distance of lunar orbit.
So just to go into our chat room real quick, because our viewers often ask really cool questions. We got Andrew Shire who wants to know, are these satellites that are owned or are they leased in terms of the communication time that you get on them?
So we actually own and operate these satellites. We launched them in early 2019. And we will just use them like a cell phone tower in the sense that you can just pay by the minute in terms of whatever capacity you require to do whatever it is that you want to do. But they're owned and operated by Audacy, the company, ourselves.
Excellent. And we've got another one from Chris Radcliffe, which says, can existing satellites use the Audacy network or does it require new hardware?
That is an excellent question. It is tricky for existing satellites to use our network. Either you have to put a piece of hardware on your satellite, which we call the client terminal, this is essentially the phone, or for more sophisticated satellites, we can provide you a specification, and then that owner-operator can change their satellite to be compliant. Some of the more sophisticated satellites have the ability to reprogram their radios to do so. But in most cases, I'm guessing 90% of the time, it will be a new satellite or a new platform, launch vehicle, space station, etc.
Very cool. Now, sort of going back to talking about TDRS a little bit, what is sort of the primary difference between Audacy and TDRS? Is it just the commercial aspect of it, or is it the approach to it, or what's the primary difference between you and TDRS?
Yeah, good question. So there's a couple of things. The first one is the placement. A lot of the activity in space now is moving towards smaller and smaller satellites, smaller spacecraft. And we wanted to be able to serve even very small spacecraft, so down to a CubeSat size, which is literally just a cube, 10 centimeters on the side. And those kinds of platforms have very low power. So for them, it's challenging to close a link at a meaningful throughput all the way from LEO orbit to geostationary, and then from there back down to Earth. So in that sense, placing ourselves in a medium Earth orbit was a key enabler that allows us to serve very small, low-powered devices as clients. The other challenge with TDRS is that the architecture wasn't initially set out to serve a large number of users. It was designed originally just for space shuttle and space station, which was 2 users. It can do more than that today, but it's still in the dozens, not in the hundreds. And our system can literally serve thousands of users simultaneously because it's built just like a cell phone network in that regard.
Yeah, and one of our users in our chat room wants to know what are the speeds that you're going to be able to deliver in terms of communication?
Yeah, throughput speeds are very interesting and obviously on top of people's mind when we talk to our customers. The answer is, as always, it depends. But it does depend on the capabilities of the client, and it scales with the amount of power the client can put through it. But to give you some examples, we have a couple of reference designs which we do for typical types of client. We can put about 5 megabits per second through it for a CubeSat type client. And then in our second generation, which will go up in 2021, we can go as high as 2 gigabits per second for a larger platform, which could be a space station or a larger spacecraft. So it really depends on the power output of the receiving node on both ends. But the system is flexible enough to accommodate that based on both needs and capability of the client.
Yeah, if I heard you correctly earlier, you were talking about your services not necessarily being limited to low Earth orbit or even GEO, maybe going out further. Is that correct?
Yeah, so part of the beauty of the system is the way we designed it. It does what it does with a combination of both the relay satellites and the ground assets, which are the ground stations we plan on putting up. Our first two will be San Francisco and Singapore. Downstream, we'll do a third one in Europe, most likely in Luxembourg, and then we might add more as we need it. But the idea is that as you build the system, as you use the system, from the customer's perspective or the client's perspective, you just need one piece of hardware, and it transitions between different modes of operation depending on where you are. If you're close in a low Earth orbit, we use the relay satellites to connect you. Once you go beyond that, we can actually serve you directly from the ground. But you can use that same piece of hardware, and it just works. You can even roam between networks, which is our network versus NASA TDRS ideally, and that's something we're looking to establish with NASA in collaboration as well.
So who are you expecting your primary customers to be? Is it just going to be small little CubeSats that are in low Earth orbit, or are you expecting to maybe potentially compete with TDRS as politely as you can with them and their work that they do?
Yeah, it's an interesting mix. When we started this, it was a little bit like building the internet in space. And we did not nearly foresee all the uses that people have come up with already. And I'm guessing there will still be many more potential applications people will develop as we go. But in terms of what these clients look like, it starts with the obvious one, which is CubeSat platforms doing Earth imaging, and smallest satellites, 100 kilogram to 200 kilogram range. But then anybody who takes imagery of the Earth or measurements of some kind and sells it, their customers are telling them, we want the stuff as real time as we can get it. So if the data is literally real time, it is considerably more valuable than if it's 2 or 3 hours old. So as one of them goes into it, that means the next one has to go into it in order to compete. And we're looking at larger customers, such as established companies who have been around for a long time in the Earth imaging business. And then beyond Earth imaging, you get launch companies too. When you're flying a rocket, you have that same challenge. Once it's over the horizon, you don't know if you can connect to it anymore, especially since they go over water. And you want to know what it's doing, so we can provide that service as well. And then you get all the way up to space stations, both the current International Space Station, but also potentially private space stations as they come into being.
So is this going to be only open to U.S. launch customers, or is this sort of, you guys are going to be open arms to everyone who wants any kind of communication capability while in space?
We are a global company. We actually have subsidiaries both in Europe and in Singapore and Asia, and we cater to anybody on the planet. So we're very agnostic in terms of the customer, and also in terms of the data. It's just like an internet service provider. We don't ever see your data. So to us, it's just bits, and we will pick it up and deliver it to you wherever you are.
Now, what's your expected time frame for the implementation of the communications network?
Yeah, we have a roadmap for the company. It was actually quite public. It's on our website, and you can see progress in real time, which is something people like to actually point out. It's kind of cool. You can see on any given day what the percentage of completion is for that roadmap. But essentially, each phase is about a year long and has specific goals attached to it. We'll start the construction of our first ground station this year, and we have a demo mission going up this year as well. We booked a flight on a SpaceX Falcon 9 in December, and for a secondary payload, it's just a small CubeSat. But that will prove out the terminal that goes on the customer side and the ground station network. And then next year, we'll build the second ground station in Singapore, and then the actual relay constellation will go up in 2019.
Excellent. That's super exciting that you guys are going to be flying hardware towards the end of this year. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's the current plan, December this year.
Yeah, awesome. And of course, speaking of SpaceX, our chat room is always infatuated with SpaceX and the work that they're doing. So Johnny Spacer asks, isn't SpaceX pursuing internet communication satellites, and would that be sort of a competitor with Audacy? So I guess the question is, do you have any potential competition coming up, and what may set you apart from that competition?
Yeah, when we started this 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, it was very speculative, and not a lot of people thought this market might be real. So at the time, they weren't paying much attention. But now, as the industry keeps growing very rapidly, this has become a real headache. We're actually on the cover of Space News magazine a while back because they realized this is a big concern, and they're looking for a solution. And then, yeah, so we have competitors. We're not the only people pursuing it, obviously. There are big established players who are trying to repurpose existing satellites already in geostationary orbit. But that's challenging based on the reasons I gave previously. They're in the wrong place, a little too far out, and they weren't built for this purpose. And the technology is actually quite difficult. And then there are new players coming into the market as well. There's other startups pursuing this with different architectures. And then, of course, you mentioned SpaceX building a very large network of satellites. And there's a couple more doing the same thing. These are what I call Internet in the Sky applications. So there's a couple of projects underway, both from SpaceX, OneWeb, and there's some out of Europe as well, where they're trying to provide internet service or Wi-Fi anywhere on the planet. So their market is a little different. It's space to ground, whereas ours is space to space. So I do see them as complementary solutions, not as competitors.
Yeah, awesome. Now, another one from our chat room from Green Jim 2 asks, how long will Audacy satellites last, and will there be on-orbit spares eventually for your network?
Yeah, we originally started this with commercial telecommunications platform satellites. So very standard things like a bus you can buy from a big aerospace giant and then put a specialized payload on it. And typical lifetime for these things is on the order of 15 years. But then that was very expensive. You know, as a startup, it's hard to raise enough money to put that kind of infrastructure in play. You have to essentially build a railroad in entirety before you can sell the first ticket, which is a challenging undertaking. So we shrunk it down a little bit. We now have 2 generations planned. The first generation, going up in 2019, has a lifetime of about 10 years. And then the second generation, which would be 2 to 3 years later, if the pickup is such that the market supports it, would again be a longer lifetime, 10 to 12 years. But typical lifetimes for these satellites are on the order of 15 years in geo. We're in medium Earth orbit, which is a little more harsher in terms of the environment. So you look at about 10 years lifetime.
And just to sort of to take a question from our chat room and to paraphrase it a little bit, is there a specific reason why you chose the 3 areas for your ground stations? Is it because of that 120 degrees of coverage sort of with that there, or is there other reasons that you're able to choose those places?
Yeah, the selection of the ground locations was pretty involved. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but you mentioned one which is true. So orbital mechanics, right? We want to be approximately on opposite sides to the planet because we do want to cover long distance communications from the ground. We need approximately evenly spaced locations around the planet. And San Francisco or US West Coast, Singapore, and Europe was a good combination of those 3. Other things are connectivity on the ground. It's actually surprising, most people may not think of it that way as well, is even once you get your signal to the ground, getting it back to where the person is that wants it can be a challenge. So if you have a ground station in the middle of Alaska or the South Pole, which is great from an orbital mechanics point of view, it's very difficult to get high throughput internet in those locations. And what we looked at and realized was that the strongest mission critical internet connectivity is available in financial centers and then of course in Silicon Valley. And that drove some of the selection process as well. And then last but not least, we wanted a good business climate and access to talent. It takes people to do this, and having a location with lots of good people that are excited about space and are well educated makes a big difference.
Yeah, and to take another question from our chat room and to kind of paraphrase it from Paco De Niro, he's wondering about any thoughts on laser communication. So I guess to make this a 2-part question, what are your thoughts on laser communications, and are you guys interested in potentially using that, or are you guys going to be sticking with the tried and true RF?
No, that's a good point. Laser is an upcoming technology and it's super capable. It's very interesting to us. The challenge with laser is you can get very high throughput speeds, but you can only get it again to a limited number of clients. If you're using that for the final link, which is from the relay to the client spacecraft, you get limited in the number of satellites you can serve simultaneously by how many beams you can create simultaneously, or you have to go to a scanning solution. So radio has this advantage that it is more ubiquitous and you can actually use it to serve thousands of customers. The other challenge with laser is that going transatmospheric, which is from space to ground, has both safety implications for aircraft travel and weather implications. So it's tricky to make that to work on a reliable basis. However, where it is very potent is in-space communications. So we're actually looking at laser as a technology to connect our relays to each other. In that case, we have 3 to 6 satellites, and that gives you small enough a number that laser makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't have to go through the atmosphere, which is also a great advantage. So laser is a great technology, and we'll definitely keep trying to integrate that into our system as it evolves.
So what are some of the difficulties that you've experienced as an up-and-coming company?
There are many. Being a startup is tough. There are many things that can go wrong for any young company. And SpaceX made it look easy, but it is challenging. I think for us, in the beginning, it was really just trying to get people on board. There's this saying that says, if the difference between a great leader and a nut job on a hill is that you have followers. If you have one follower, you're a great leader. If you're all by yourself, then you're just a nut job standing on a soapbox. So that was the first challenge. Once I got my co-founders on board, growing the company, trying to find the resources to support us and keep growing has been tricky. And we struggle with all the same things that any young company does. Anything from how to process payroll to finding an office space to getting talent. It's pretty similar to any startup.
So specifically to talk a little bit more about being a startup, what are some of the extra challenges that you have to deal with being a startup in the space industry? Because the space, from my little bit of aerospace background that I have, I know, oh my gosh, it is an immensely difficult area to break through into. So what are some of the extra challenges that you have to contend with as a startup, specifically in the space industry?
I think the two biggest hurdles are, one, that space still is very expensive. So you have to raise a lot of funding in order to do what you want to do. And it takes a lot of upfront effort before you can get to the point of actually being profitable. And the second one is that the space industry as a whole is still pretty risk averse. So trying something new and different is a challenge. Convincing our customers, which range anywhere from startups themselves to very established and older aerospace companies, to actually try something new and prove that we have the credibility to pull it off. That's tough, and it takes a lot of very smart people to come up with some very solid engineering to convince them that it's possible and it will actually work and take a bet on us. And those are probably the two most challenging ones. Just overcoming that aversion to risk and the willingness to try something new, and the fact that it does take a considerable longer amount of time to create a space company and a space product than it would take to create a software company or a software product.
And then just to go back a little bit to Audacy and what you guys are planning to do, and to get a little bit esoteric and philosophical about it as well, why is it so important for humanity to communicate while in space?
Communications was amazing. I mean, if you look at the history of humanity on the planet, there are many examples where communication completely changed society. They had a huge impact, right? So when the telephone came about, or the telegraph, that had a big difference. There was actually a case I studied in business school, which was really interesting, where there was a fish market in a third world country, and there was another fish market in a neighboring city just a couple of miles down the coastline. And the introduction of cell phone towers in that region had a huge impact on how people interacted, because now people were able to compare pricing from one market to the other while still at sea on the boat, and the fishermen would choose which harbor to go into to sell their fish. So it has big economic impacts in terms of resource management. But even beyond that, I think for us, the real attraction is we can bring the astronaut closer to the audience. Space is awesome, right? Everybody loves seeing what's going on out there. How cool would it be if even on this show right now, we could have a live feed from something happening in space as we speak, and just share that with the world, and share that wonder and excitement and bring it to as many people as we could. And that's really what's driving us to do this more than anything else.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think a live feed's one of our Patreon levels, $250,000 per episode, something like that. So yeah, that would be fantastic. So, Ralph, thank you for coming on the show today. Where can people learn more about you and Audacy?
Well, you can find us online. We're at odyssey.space. That's our domain name. You can see all the information on our website, and then there's ways to contact us there as well. We're also on Twitter at Audacy, and we're actually physically located in sunny California, or actually currently it's rainy California in downtown. But if you're in the neighborhood, feel free to stop by and say hello.
Yeah, and just before you go, we've got 5 general questions that we ask all of our guests.
Sure.
And there's no right or wrong answer with these. These are just general run-of-the-mill questions, and feel free to answer them however you feel, however long you feel. So the first of the 5 questions is Moon or Mars first?
For me, it's Moon first, but it could be at the same time for different reasons. I think one of the big enabling factors which is going to allow us to travel the solar system is a denser, more capable power source, which really means nuclear power. You don't want to develop that on Earth. It's too dangerous. Having a permanent habitat on the Moon would allow you to do that, and then the solar system is really a oyster. So I would do Moon first.
All right. And about space, would you go to space?
Heck yeah. I actually applied to being an astronaut. That was part of my goals after getting my PhD. I did not make the cut, but that didn't stop me from trying to contribute any way I can.
And then when do you think humans will first land on Mars?
That is an interesting question, predicting the future. I would say no matter when it is, it will be later than I would like.
A good answer. Yeah, I like that one. And when do you think humans will set foot on the Moon again?
Pretty much the same answer, right? I mean, there's a lot that could be done there. I think the goal really is, or the aim really should be, the next time we go, we have to go to stay. And that's much more important than when we get there. Because it can't be just a one-off thing. As exciting as that was, we do want to make it a stepping stone to even greater and bigger things.
Yeah. And then the final question, one of my favorite question to always ask people, why space?
Why not? I mean, for me, I've always been a consummate explorer at heart. For me, even as a child, I always ask questions like, how do we get there? What is there? What is it like to be there? What's over there on the other side of whatever that something was? And my life really started in a tiny village in Germany, which had a bakery, a bank, and a butcher shop, and that was it. And then I was just driven to keep pushing outwards and seeing a bigger and larger world. And for me, looking in the sky, seeing the moon hanging over my head, that's a world. It's as diverse and as interesting and as curious as anything around us on Earth. And there are literally millions or billions more. So how could you not want to know what is there and experience it yourself?
Excellent. Well, thank you for the fascinating interview today, Ralph. Ralph Ewig from Audacy, and we will be right back, coming back. Whoop. Good there, Dutta?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, let's try that. Dutta, do you want to try that again?
Yeah, just a second.
Okay.
Let me get.
We accidentally went to black real quick, Ralph, so we'll just set so we can get another edit point.
No problem.
Come up here, say goodbye again, and then
Okay.
I'll switch to this view so you can throw us a break.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. And Ralph, thank you again for coming on the show today. Ralph Ewig from Audacy, the CEO, very interesting communication systems in space. So,
Thank you very much, guys. The show was great.
yeah, thank you again. So, we'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned. It's comments coming up.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with awesome expectation, this girl's a fascination. Nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving, her heat keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
Yep.
Are we doing a
Pull my pants
we doing a show or what?
No.
Yeah,
no.
I
don't feel like it anymore.
I just
sorry.
had that problem with my
Look, Ben's
laptop.
watching. I'm sure it's fine. Whatever.
Good. He can take notes on what he needs to edit.
Yes, perfect.
Exactly.
Ben, you got that last one right? Oh.
before I realized that was an accident. At first, I thought Dutta was just like, and you're done.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going on too. I was like, oh, okay.
You've had enough talking.
Interview's done. So, all right.
No, that was a great interview.
And I had the added complication of my monitor cutting out because
Oh,
Fantastic.
that's always fun. All right.
Yeah. Are you entering this one or am I?
I can enter it.
Yeah.
what about having Mike do it?
Yeah, Mike, you want to do it?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Awesome sauce.
Let's have Mike do it.
There we go.
You're still going to read the comments, though, Kieran, or do you
Yeah,
want me to
I'll do
that?
the comments, but you'll do like the welcome back and all the Patreon slates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
Okay.
And welcome back. Before we get started on comments from last week's show, we did want to give a huge shout out to all of our patrons who've been contributing to the show. I want to thank our Escape Velocity members who've been contributing $10 or more, and they get access to the Slack channel. Our Orbital members contributing $5 or more, up to $9.99. They get the free worldwide swag store shipping, as well as our Suborbital members who are contributing $2.50 or more, and they get the early access to our After Dark, which we do after each show. And of course, we cannot forget the most important, our ground support members. These are the folks who are contributing $1 or more per show, up to $2.49. You get your name in the show, as well as access to our quarterly Google Hangouts, which we need to do one very soon. And we just want to thank every single one of you awesome people who are contributing to the show and making this happen. If you'd like to find more information, if you haven't signed up already, you can visit patreon.com/TMRO to sign up at whatever level that you feel is appropriate to support the show. And just thank you again to each and every one of you who's supporting us.
Totally. And like Destructor1701 says in the chat room, Mike is kicking ass on this with zero notice. So yes, very good job with that. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Aw, so proud.
So last week's show, what was last week's show? I wasn't even here. I was in the shop for repairs, so I didn't download the memory
Right. How
link.
is the update feeling? Are you doing a little bit better now?
It's doing okay. I feel a little glitchy in the legs, but I think things are good.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there.
Just
You
a
know,
little bit.
it's fine. Last week we visited with Dave Disler again about the EM drive. He gave us an update there. Oh, that joke will never get old.
Nope.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit more about the EM drive. What he's been doing the last year or so. There was some peer review kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
We had a visit from a cat. That was very cool. Oh no, that was yours, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Never
that was
mind.
my other interview.
It's
all right.
That's
It's all
what happens.
just. It's all doing
together.
this.
Maybe I need an update next. All right. Anyways, that's the general thing of what happened this last episode. So let's move on to comments. These again all came from YouTube. You guys are just really prolific over there, which is awesome. Really liking that. Feel free, of course, to always comment on our Patreon page. You can tweet at us. We take comments on Facebook. Just YouTube happens to be the place where all these are lately. All right, the first one comes from somebody calling themselves Muskie Elon. I kind of get the feeling that a lot of these comments were chosen because of the screen names, but we'll get to that in a second.
Ew.
This one says, it's good to hear that some money is going to into the EM drive. We can explain it later. We just really need to know if it works in space.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Just toss some money at it and throw one into space and see if it actually works. So, good way to do most things.
I mean,
I would say.
I guess it would not. I mean, yes, but no, but yes, but no. Like, you can't just, be randomly tossing money around and going, that didn't work. Let's try this one now. Like, there should be a little bit of basis for it.
Shows you how much I know about business.
Something, yeah. Well,
Do you remember who you're married to?
Oh,
Yes, so I speak from experience.
sick burn. Oh,
Let's be clear.
oh.
But I mean, at NASA, though, the program that is doing this, NASA Eagle Works, and kind of by extension, the Advanced Innovative Concepts, there's a lot of really good ideas that come out of both of those offices, and most of them don't go anywhere after, they get presented of, hey, this is a really cool idea. So, even though it's not necessarily saying, oh, let's throw money at a problem, it's not necessarily a problem, but, I agree with Muskie Elon here that, it's good to see, money going into it and that we'll eventually see some sort of demo mission. And I mean, if this works, then we're going to be able to start sending out a lot more New Horizons probes with no fuel. It's going to be great. So
Makes me very happy.
Right. I mean, there's definitely a balance. Although Chris Radcliffe says in the chat room, well, then that makes it the expend money drive. That's very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Oh my gosh.
Like that. Okay, so next one comes off of YouTube. This one comes from a Tiberius Maximus. Like I said, maybe it's all in the name. It says, I would like to know what the biggest chunk of ring material there is, like an asteroid size. Because the reason I ask is because they would make some nice service stations since it's mostly water ice. Can anyone answer this?
Yes, I can. Let me just get my little, science ready to go here.
Go ahead.
Well, the largest chunks of ring material are what you would end up calling these little moonlets that appear there, and they can be anywhere from a couple 100 meters in size to a couple kilometers in size.
So a moonlet is smaller than a Plutoid?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I
it's-
just want to make sure I get my...
It's like a moon, but on the up and coming. It's like
a
an
dwarf
infant
moon.
It's a dwarf moon. Oh, is the way to do it. So,
In the embryo stage.
what are we doing?
Just making sure I understand. It's kind of like, there's the European shoe sizes and then the U.S. shoe sizes.
Yes.
And they're similar, but they're not the same.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Go on.
Kinda. That's how it goes.
All right, so give me more moonlit things.
I don't
going
know
on.
if they would be a good place to go to because there's a lot of static buildup in the rings.
Oh.
So if you have a ship that, if you fly a spacecraft through the rings, a lot of that ring material could end up actually sticking to your spacecraft because of static buildup.
Oh, and then you
there.
become your own moonlet.
Yes, and that's not
Fantastic.
not the best place for a servicing station. But there are some moonlets that have actually sort of carved out these gaps in the ring. So maybe those are the ones you can go to. So
Interesting.
like there's one called Daphnis, which we just recently got some unbelievable imagery of, which somewhere in the comments, once this episode's up, I'll put a link to the image of it where you can actually see it pulling material off of the ring towards it. So, which is just, again, the Cassini mission, one of my favorite missions in terms of the imagery we get back from it. It's just a fantastic all around what we've learned from Saturn. So
Interesting. All right. Very cool. This, this next comment also comes off of YouTube. The username, the large hard-on collider. Not Hadron.
Not the Hadron?
not
Nope.
the Hadron.
Nope, I had to read that about 8
hard-on.
times before
Oh.
I made sure I was reading
My
that correctly.
gosh. Well, we do have the disclaimer before the show, so.
Well, yeah, I'm just reading the words on the screen. Okay. Don't know if you guys mentioned it on the show before, but Juno is one of the only spacecraft to use solar panels out at that distance, and they are huge. All the others going out that far rely on RTGs, which I had to look up, is a radioisotope
Isotope.
Radioisotope
Oh my-
thermoelectric generator.
Perfect. I wrote it down and I still couldn't read it.
So it's all good.
Oh, why am I doing the show? That's fine. I can't read anything, you guys. Okay. Anyhow, do you know why they're using solar panels as opposed to the RTG thing that I can't read?
Well, there's just frankly not a lot. Oh, you want to take it, Space Mike?
Well, yeah, you go
for
ahead and get on your point. There isn't a whole lot. What these are is it's a type of plutonium. If I'm not correct me if I'm wrong. Is it plutonium or is it uranium?
Correct. It's plutonium.
It's okay. So this plutonium expels heat as it's decaying, and that heat they are able to convert into energy, and that's what these RTGs are. And there isn't a whole lot of plutonium available for this. What little bit we have, we're trying to save for some of the bigger missions. We definitely needed it for New Horizons to go way out there because,
Right.
I mean, with Jupiter, you still are getting enough with these next generation solar panels. The solar panels on Juno are a different type that have more efficiency than the normal type of silicon solar panels that are on most spacecraft today. So they're able to get a lot more energy and they're a lot more sensitive. So even at that distance, they're still collecting about as much energy as something that you could get like from Radio Shack or something like that. But at that distance, they are able to filter it and get as much out of it as they possibly can. So this was kind of a test in a way to even see if we could get that much energy from solar panels, something as far out as Jupiter. So both of those reasons, both for the shortage of the type of plutonium that we would need for this, as well as trying out this better solar panel technology.
Yeah, and if I remember right, those solar panels are 2/3 the length of a tennis court, each of them.
Oh.
So they're pretty gigantic.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, out at Jupiter, you only get 4% of the light output of the sun that you get in and around Earth's orbit. So, so even with those massive solar panels, it's still only generating a couple 100 watts of power. So.
Silly question. That's not because the panels themselves are inefficient. It's because there isn't a lot of light to be caught out there.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is.
Sometimes I learn
And, like,
things.
Think about it like this: like by the time you're out to Pluto distance, our star just kind of looks like a really bright star. You know,
Right.
it doesn't even
Yeah.
look, very much like a sun. And if you got turned around, you might even lose it, type of thing. You know, so
Yeah, out at Pluto, it's about 1/3%. So it's even
crazy.
It's even less than at Jupiter.
So
And in fact, there's a really cool thing that you can do. I don't know if it's still on NASA's website, but when the New Horizons mission flew by Pluto, they had a thing on their website called Pluto Time, where you could actually input your location on the Earth, and it would tell you what time to go outside at, so that you could see the amount of light that you would be able to see on Pluto. And it was literally something like the equivalent of like 8 to 10 full moons worth of light. So it was like a ridiculously low amount of light.
yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Interesting. All right. Cool. All right. So this next comment, also off of YouTube, comes from Streetwind. It says, I don't think you guys need to worry about Ariane 5 launching JWST, which is the James Webb Space Telescope.
Yep.
That rocket is literally, look it up, the most reliable heavy class lifter that has ever existed. It's been over 14 years since any Ariane rocket has had any sort of issue. Since then, 76 missions have gone up flawlessly. Rest assured, there exists no safer rocket in the world in which to conduct this launch. I don't know about flawlessly, but they were successful. I'll give you that much.
They're very good.
And successful and nominal that sound like not like super flowery words or verbiage, but so I did look it up because I was curious. It's one of those things where I know about some rockets. I if you line them up, I may or may not be able to tell you which one is which, and I certainly am not very good at reliability. So I definitely had to. I was interested about that. Ariane has a really, really good track record, really amazing track record, and 76 missions in a row. I apologize. Is something I must be a pessimist at heart. I'm one of those people who doesn't like to go on roller coasters a whole lot. Like I like some roller coasters, but not a lot of roller coasters. And if it's made out of wood, I'm definitely not going on it because today is going to be the day that it breaks on me. And I don't know what sort of weird, like pessimistic, superstitious thing that got into my head as a little kid. But so there's the wood knocking and the things and the my word to whatever imaginary friend you believe in. All of those things. But otherwise, it sounds, statistically speaking, it does sound like it would be one of the better rockets to launch on.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's probably why NASA chose the Ariane 5 in the first place. I mean, I'm sure if you asked someone from United Launch Alliance, they'd be like, well, I would say that, our Atlas are probably some of the, also one of the safest rockets in the world. So it depends on who you ask.
Sure,
but,
yes.
I mean, it's true, though, that they haven't had any problems. I mean, most of the problems that they have had were with, like, Ariane 3 and 4. So they haven't had a whole lot of problems with Ariane 5. So, so hopefully that mission won't be like your fear of roller coasters, where that will be the day that something goes wrong. And if it does, then
Chris Radcliffe says, "Never say nothing can go
I don't know
wrong."
what to do.
I just hope that it works because this has been a really long time coming, and I just want the data from that telescope already. So
this is very true.
I want the data. I want the data. Give me the data.
All right, this next comment made me laugh out loud. This one comes off of YouTube. This is from T1 John. It says, it was great to hear from Dave Dissler again. I've been subscribed to his YouTube channel ever since his appearance on Tomorrow last summer. But since then, he's updated about 300 hours of cat videos and about 10 minutes from the EM drive. LOL. Laughing out loud, in case you didn't know. Not love you lots. Don't get me wrong, Dave. Love your cats, but it's nice to hear about the status of your research, too. In particular, I'm glad to hear the recent peer-reviewed paper is being taken seriously, at least by some. It's about time the scientific community stopped treating this as just another perpetual motion scam and actually try to figure out what the heck is going on there. I see your work as a major contribution toward that end. Keep up the good work and keep the cat vids coming.
Yes, cat videos. It's the internet, after all. We love the internet.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right. Well, I mean,
Me outer space.
yeah, take me to outer space.
Yeah.
Or visit me outer space, because I'm not going anytime soon. Although we determined earlier I am of correct stature to do so.
Yes, you are.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. It's one of those things. It's like when we thought Burt Rutan's Twitter account was real, and all he
Yes.
talked about was gourmet burgers for a really long time.
Yes.
But Dave is a real life person. He does put in lots of videos. Much of them are cats.
Yes. Yeah.
There's
Cats.
that. There's really not a whole lot else to say there, is there? Okay, so
Cats.
last comment. This one comes off of YouTube. This one comes from Ricky Lake. And for those of you who are old enough to remember Ricky Lake, very clearly, Ricky here says, "Hello, this is Ricky Lake. No, not the talk show host." Exactly.
bummer.
I know. Got that out
That's
of the
all
way.
right, though. We're still glad you're watching.
I started watching and contributing to get my children, Crystal and Carson, passionate about space for the human species' future. That another ELE or extinction level event will happen again, not but if when. We must become interplanetary to survive. Go SpaceX. I have tried to email this to my read Capcom on your show. No luck yet, so I can tell my children, please subscribe and contribute to TMRO. I know I am just ground crew, but I'm going to tell my children to watch tomorrow YouTube Orbit 10.06. So here we are. Hello, Crystal and Carson.
Hello.
Coming in the show.
You got your name in the show.
Right?
Your name in the show.
I mean, really,
Did
Ricky
you
Lake's name
contribute and your
was
name's
always
in
be
the
in the
show?
ground crew, so Ricky could always say...
Yeah, we could do that. We
there
could
I
just
am.
throw their names on ground crew.
Well, I mean,
So-
but Ricky already is.
Yeah, I
As-
know, but why not also put Crystal and Carson on ground crew?
I
as
think
well?
they're in the show now.
Maybe in parentheses.
Forever.
Well, they are now.
Here, once we get the lower third thing set up.
They are now immortalized on the internets,
Oh,
which is
goodness
just
gracious.
a great place to be immortalized.
I hope
Wait a
Ben's not
second.
watching anymore. Anyway, so
Yes.
that's it for this week. Next week, we will be graced with the in-studio presence of the Everyday Astronaut, which is really exciting.
He's
Because
back.
that'll be the first time, it won't be the first time that Everyday Astronaut's been in the studio, but it'll be the first time since we've had the new observation deck studio.
Yes.
So that's really exciting.
Because he was here when we had just the OG studio.
Yeah.
When it was just the chairs and a table
Yeah.
and a screen. But
And
now,
now it's
like,
just now we're just standing with no chairs and a table and a
So
screen.
wait a minute. Is our airlock working yet? Because I'm really seeing him trying to come in from the outside first in his suit.
You know what? That's the great thing about Everyday Astronaut is that he comes with his own suit.
At least he has a suit.
he
Yeah.
does have his own suit.
Right. That's
so-
why we have yet to have anybody live on the observation deck. How's that for an answer?
Well, that's going to break it in pretty well. So,
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so what else? So yeah, that's it, right?
that's it. That's the show.
That's it. That's a
Awesome.
show.
Yay! Woo! One more down in the history books. Oh, that's it for this week. I can't wait for After Dark, you guys. I don't know about you. Thanks
for joining us, everybody.
We'll see you
See you
next time.
later.
Bye.
Hello.
Oh my god.
Welcome.
Welcome.
After Dark. Oh, man.
Oh. I have no idea what happened. My brain was like, done. Got to the end, sincerely got to the end of that one, and I was like, done.
Oh, gosh.
I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know. I couldn't. There was nothing. I just stopped. My whole brain was
okay.
like, we're done, right?
It's all right. It was
We're
beautiful.
done.
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh man.
Beautiful crash and burn. That's fine.
And then I forgot about the After Dark music.
For what it's worth, Carrie Ann, you make pretty fire.
We went to mute, and Jenna goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry, you guys.
No, you're fine.
I didn't tell anybody. Ben, aren't you proud of me? I actually forgot that's what happened. Ben goes, "Don't tell anyone." I'm like, all right. And I struck it from memory. So it started, and I was like, oh, right, there was this.
I'm not sure. I don't remember what I'm not supposed to tell people, so I guess we're good.
The After Dark thing.
Oh, yeah.
He told me he added it in.
I had no idea.
I watched it last night. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
I had no idea.
Oh, man.
That made me laugh really hard.
So at least we got Jared on that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And that's from the good old Space Vidcast days for After Dark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was from back in the day when the music would start, and then
man.
Carrie Ann would get up close to these wonderful microphones and go, "Space Vidcast After Dark," because it's always dark somewhere.
It's a perfect impression of me. Thank you. Oh, man.
All right, I think we need to do an open if we can.
Yeah.
Can we? You're like, I don't know, we did stuff. It's cool.
Things and stuff in space.
Man.
Tomorrow begins right now.
God, he would kill us. Oh, man. Not as sexy. Yeah, well, that's
It's
true.
always after dark somewhere.
Oh, man. Ben, I'm so sorry. I took his show and just, like, threw it away.
No, it was pretty funny.
Oh, man. And maybe it closed. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
All in all, I think we did a good job.
Yeah, I think the
You guys
close
were
is
great. You were great. And Jared, way to, like, not flip out under pressure. Like, Jared is in the middle of the interview, and his Surface goes,
fine. Yep.
I was wondering what was going on there.
Surface took a poop.
yeah. And so it was like, here, I have my computer. I've got the rundown, and I've got the chat room, so you have everything you need.
My Surface is working perfectly fine now,
Yeah.
but during the interview it stopped.
Yeah, way to go, dude! You did a really good job on the interview.
Yeah, the interview
Thank
was
you.
really good, but then like I said, I mean, I don't think unless somebody was really paying attention, I don't think
That was
they
really
would've even
fun. Like
noticed.
it was so cool with this interview because there was just so much material to be able to pull all the questions from.
Yeah.
And the chat room was asking awesome questions
Yeah.
as well. And also just Ralph was a really fun guy as well to interview. And
Yeah.
his Tumblr was like a huge help in doing something like that. Can everybody just start doing that?
Right?
Like, just tell us every aspect of what's going on.
Yeah. Well, even
everything.
even his LinkedIn profile, you could kind of see the progression of things. Like as he was saying it, I was like, oh yeah, you can see, and then oh yeah, and then he just went to business school randomly, and then oh yeah, okay, then he did these things. Like
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
very interesting.
Hey.
All right,
guy.
so Mike, what was your favorite space news story?
New airlock for the International Space Station.
Perfection. Jared, yours.
Did you want me to do a space story? Or?
I mean, yes, because then I
Yeah,
can
you know,
say
you did some.
because I didn't do news, and then I get to say, and then Jared has this really amazing interview with not Audacity Space, Carrie Ann.
Audacy.
Yeah.
Audacy Space.
I didn't even think about it. I saw the word and I
It's all
didn't think,
good.
and then I would spat it out and was fine, and then you're like, it's totally not right.
Turn your mic back on, Jared.
Did I turn it off?
Yeah.
How about now? Am I back on?
There you
Oh,
go.
okay. Oh yeah, I turned it off to clear my throat.
Bing,
Wow,
bong,
I
bing.
forgot about that, and it happened like 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, you cleared your throat and then said, wait, I turned my mic off? Good job. Proud of you.
Thank you. Oh, am I loose?
No, the little
Must have been
spring thing on here
subconscious.
doesn't like to do things for you. Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry. Your favorite news story
I'll
is...
say another space tether problem.
All right. Yeah. Ralph Ewig. From...
All right, so we're just going to go right
Audacy
down the
Space.
line.
Yeah, right? Mike and then Jared and then me and we're done. Yeah?
Yeah.
What are you breaking? What's wrong with you?
Why is my Surface doing this?
I don't know. Let's do an open though, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
take
Dada, are you
one.
ready?
Yeah.
Perfect. check.
Oh yeah.
in.
By the way, I hope we were recording this whole time.
No. I specifically asked not
okay,
to.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Take one. Take one. Coming up, a new airlock for the International Space Station.
Another problem with a space tether.
All that and more. Well, Jared's got an interview with Ralph. Yep.
Yeah.
Two.
It's all right.
I said Robert in my head, and then I knew that wasn't right, but I couldn't figure out what the answer was. Sorry about that. Deuces.
It's all right.
It's all right. That's why we do it.
Coming up, a new airlock for the International Space Station.
Another space tether problem.
All that and more, as Jared's got a great interview with Ralph Ewig of Audacy Space. Stay with us. Tomorrow begins right now.
Just Odyssey.
What did I say? Oh, it's just
Odyssey
Audacy.
Space.
Right, sorry.
It's all right.
Because it still says space in here.
That was good, though.
I can use my words sometimes.
Tres.
Take three.
Okay.
Coming up, a new airlock for the International Space Station.
Another space tether problem.
All that and more. And Jared's got a great interview with Ralph Ewig of Audacy. Stay with us. Tomorrow begins right now.
There you go.
Hwah!
Good job, everybody.
Woohoo! Okay, I need a snack.
All right. What's the most amount of takes we've done for an open? I don't know, like 12?
I think we had 13 one time.
Was it 13? Yeah. Very sincerely, like, I know there was one that was just like, it took us probably half an hour to do.
Yeah, you and Ben got the giggles, and then just the
man.
two of you switched back and forth, screwing it up for like 12 consecutive takes.
I
I
am predicting
do-
the future. I'm allowed to do that.
I think one of the first live shows I was a part of, it took like 9 takes for you guys to get
Yeah.
it right.
Some are just better than others. Like, we've gotten a lot better, particularly recently.
Yeah.
But some of them are just way easier than others. Some of them don't have like a whole lot of words to trip over. Others are, yeah,
Others are very difficult.
yeah. Like me trying to not remember Robert Ewing. Don't know why that gets stuck in my head. 19 take. Yeah, Destructor, you very well could be true. I just don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, there's been a couple that have taken like a good 15, 20 minutes.
So those glitchy legs again. So yeah, I actually did watch the last week's show like later after it was posted, but
I figured we did. Knowing you.
Yeah.
that made me laugh so hard though at the very beginning.
Why?
It's like, and Mike is in for repairs.
Oh yeah. Well, because it was one of those things that like we didn't. I knew I had to address it, but like we didn't discuss how we were going to address it. And so, you know me, like then I don't know, something randomly came out of my mouth, and I was like, "That's what we're going with now."
No, that was really funny.
How was the wedding?
Oh, it was so awesome. I had so much fun, and I'm pretty sure my sister did too.
I should hope so.
Yeah, it was her wedding.
Good.
But yeah, there was a lot of people there that I didn't expect to see, like family from out of town who, like, I didn't think was going to come at all because they
Yeah.
had to fly in and stuff like that. So it was almost like a family reunion almost, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had the same kind of thing for my brother's wedding. There's some of his friends that were really, really far flung that I just didn't think were going to show up, and they did, and it was really cool. It was like all these. My brother's 8 years younger than me. In my parents' house when they were living in the house, because now they've downsized to an apartment. We just had this really huge backyard, and so all of his friends would come over for like Memorial Day or 4th of July. So I got to know his friends pretty well, even though they were a lot younger than me. But we all used to hang out together, so it was really cool to be able to see. I think he had some friends who came in from. They had been overseas. There were friends who came in from like Seattle, like that kind of thing. We just had a lot of people come in from all over the place.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was really neat. Particularly because like my wedding was very, very small. It was really just like our parents, our brothers, one set of grandparents, and one of my aunts. And like that was it. It was just like nobody, nothing foo-foo, whatever. But his was much
Yeah.
bigger and involved, and it was really cool. It was perfect
Yeah.
for him.
It's weird though. Got a lot of heckling because my sister is 5.5 years younger than me, so everyone's just like, "Well, you're the last one who's not married. What's going on?"
Just tell everyone you're more picky.
Yeah.
You have higher standards.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh man. But yeah, it was awesome. It snuck up on me though. Like for some reason, I had had it in my head that it was going to be in March, and then I get a text from my sister 2 days before, just like, "Hey, do you mind bringing this for Saturday?" And I'm just like, "Oh, what's going on Saturday?" And she's like, "I'm getting married, and I sent you invitations." And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, yes, you did. Good thing I got your gift already." Whew.
I do that kind of thing all the time. I've realized that I have the weird ability to live in about anywhere between 2 weeks and 2 months simultaneously, completely different times, completely different things are going on. But I will just be like, "No, isn't it in 2 days?" And I look at my watch, I'm like, "No, that is in a month and a half. That's fantastic." I just don't know how that happens, but it happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's funny.
Destructor, this isn't a SpaceX t-shirt.
I mean,
This is Stark Industries.
well,
But also at the same time, if you think about it,
sort of.
yeah.
Although,
I'm going to go back to my snack.
This is a cool shirt,
Oh,
though.
did you see my husband's on my snack?
Oh, that's why you're having that one.
Marty the Martian. Mike is waiting for the green Orion girl of his dreams.
I mean,
How
aren't
did
we
you
all?
know? That's why I'm into space, to get that warp drive so I can go get my Orion girl. But we all know, all of us true Trekkies know, that it's really the males that are the slaves to the females.
Duh.
Duh. Just like here on Earth. So,
Well, because none of the women see a hot guy walk by and then go, "Oh," but all one hot Orion girl walks by and all the dudes are like, "Hey."
Hey, yo, girl. What's your number?
That's what I'm saying. It took me about 20 minutes to realize that Mike is not in the studio. Yeah, it happens.
Thank you.
Yay! So somebody tweeted out a couple of days ago, so now my numbers are off, but I think they said something along the lines like it had been 2045 or 46 or 44, something right in that area, days since there had been a launch vehicle on Launch Center 39A.
Oh, 39A?
Yeah.
Since 2011.
And it was one of those things
Jeez.
that I knew it had been a couple of years, but I didn't put it in terms of days that.
2000 is a huge number for that.
It-
I saw that, I was like, holy smoke.
It did not feel, because I was fortunate enough to go down and see STS-135, which is the last launch vehicle on that pad, and it just it didn't feel like it was that long ago, I guess, in a weird way. Yeah, crazy to think about it in that sort of.
Ooh, that's a beautiful shot.
Yes. Destructor 1701, if I can comment on something. You said that the show Enterprise not being real Star Trek. I agree, but I also have a theory about the show Enterprise. That was the one that had Scott Bakula as the captain. Mm-hmm. I have a theory that show, Star Trek Enterprise, is actually not in the Prime universe where Kirk and Picard and all the other guys are, but it's actually the prequel to the J.J. Abrams universe.
Ooh.
That's my theory. And what made me realize it was the last movie, because that ship that they have to commandeer or whatever is like a similar class to the type of ship that they had in Star Trek Enterprise, the Scott Bakula one. So I was just like, oh, these are in the same universe. I finally get it now, because Star Trek Enterprise doesn't make sense with the rest of the shows and movies. I mean, it kind of does, but it throws. It answers some things and then ruins so many other things. So it's weird. Anyway, sorry, Trek rant over.
No, it's okay. Did you see that there was a Kickstarter project for a documentary on Deep Space Nine, and it got funded in a day, something silly like that?
That's awesome.
Deep Space Nine is my favorite of the Star Trek TV series.
Mine too, actually. Mine too.
Which there's not a lot of people like that, so I thought it was really interesting that people the people who are passionate about it are really passionate about it.
Yeah, I mean, Cisco's such a badass, and the whole Dominion War was like the most like epic like CGI they'd had in like all the Star Trek up to that point, and just the whole like the story arc for the Dominion War was just amazing.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine is definitely my favorite as well. And I had the opportunity once at a Comic-Con. Gosh darn it, James Avery something. What is his name? The actor who plays Cisco. But the actor who plays Cisco, Avery, gosh, whatever his last name is. Hopefully someone of you guys can Google it for me real quick in the chat room. He performs jazz. He's a very accomplished piano player. And he was doing all his songs and like singing along with them and stuff like that. And it was nothing Star Trek at all. And like there was barely anyone in there in this lounge that he was performing. And I'm just like, this is awesome. This is so awesome.
James Avery is from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, Uncle Phil. There we go.
Avery Brooks. Yep. I think Oda.
I don't think he's a nut job. I think that
a lot of people do though, because there have been some other like behind the scenes stuff with him talking, and does not sound super coherent.
But like, I mean, you guys might be talking about the documentary that. Oh my gosh! Now I'm forgetting this actor's name. The guy who played James Kirk did a documentary called The Captains, where he interviewed all the different captains that have played on the show.
That might be.
And the editing that they did with Avery Brooks, like, was trying to make him look like a nut job. Like they would cut something like mid-sentence and then go to something else where he's talking about something completely different, and you could tell that it was a different time of day. Like literally 1 second it's in the afternoon and there's like sun shining on his face, and like the next cut it's like nighttime and he's saying something completely different, and then it cuts back to Kirk and he's just like, okay, whatever that means. And like he was purposely trying to make him look like a fool through the editing. And I don't get why he did that. Because there's been other like interviews and behind the scenes stuff. Like, yes, he's a very hippy dippy type of guy and talks about a lot of new age stuff, I guess. But he's not a nut job like he was portrayed in that Captain's documentary.
You weren't supposed to notice the glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, there you go.
William Shatner. Thank you. Sorry.
It's one of those days.
Y'all are nerds.
Whatever.
Wait, did you just forget William Shatner's name?
I did. Yeah, I forgot William Shatner's name. Ugh.
Sorry.
It's funny. Like I remember most actors like by like my favorite characters they played. It's awesome.
Well, that's kind of like when I talk to Vax Headroom, even in person, like face to face, I still call him Vax right to his face. Like to me, it's like a screen name. Like I don't know. Oh, and there goes Mike. How did that happen? What's going on? There he is.
I don't know.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, like
It got so dark.
Whenever I meet people I've met in the chat room, I don't know how. It's very difficult for me to call them by their real name. I just.
You call me by my real name.
It's also your screen name, Stooge.
Yeah.
That's why my screen name is Carrie Ann. I don't want somebody calling me something like Poppy Cats or like I can't. Do not anger the Dutta. Dutta's another one. Dutta's in my phone as Dutta. Like I know his name is Tim, but I use Dutta. Yeah.
That's because you have too many Tims in your life.
Well, that's also true, but that's not the point.
I didn't know Tim Dodd was going to be in studio. Oh, that's awesome. He's going to be our first live in studio guest.
I know. I'm super excited about it.
That also means I have 7 days to finish this set.
Yeah, ready to go.
Did you guys see that? Can
we just take a picture of the part that is done and then just put it over the part that's not done? Like Kinko's can just print that crap out, right?
I mean, if y'all are willing to paint Friday night, I think I can actually make.
I can probably paint Friday night. I'm sorry, Mike. You were saying something.
No, I forgot.
Okay.
Shoot. Oh, did you guys see that one of the major news networks covered Everyday Astronaut? I think it was CBN or CBS, one of the C's there. Yeah, they did like a whole like feature on him. That was freaking awesome.
I saw him in an article on CNN, and I was like, I know that guy.
I saw that it was
Yeah,
a
I
thing. I
think that's
didn't
the one.
actually watch it or read it. Is that really bad? I probably even retweeted it. I was like, oh, there's Tim. And I just like retweeted it. I was like, cool. I figured if he already vetted it, then it was all right. I don't normally do that. I will be very clear. Anything that I retweet, I usually read first to make sure that I actually align with the things that are in it. Because I hate that kind of, like, that's a pretty picture, click. Like, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
Sad thing is Destructor 1701 is his real name. I mean, it very well might be, right? Like, it might be his given name. I don't know. I'm not making that. I just figure, like, if you went through, like, we all have our given names, right? Like, you're born, somebody gives you a name. That's your name. And then we all have, like, nicknames. Like, sometimes our friends give us nicknames. Sometimes our parents give us nicknames. Like, whatever that is. But then you also have your screen name. And you had to go through the pain and torture to choose your screen name. Now, sometimes, maybe Eeyore3061 just wanted to be Eeyore. Or maybe they wanted to be Eeyore 30. Or maybe they wanted to be 306. Like, I don't know what the story is there, but
Maybe Citizen Big Number just wants to be Big Number.
that's what I'm saying. So, like, those are those sorts of situations. Like, I managed to get the screen name that I wanted. That's the name I prefer to be called. That's the way I like to be addressed. I've never liked Miss or Ma'am. I've never really been into that. Like, anything along those lines. So, I mean, I don't know. So, but
Don't
that's,
call me Mister. That's my father.
but right, there's all those sorts of situations. Like, whatever, just call me Carrie Ann. And no, I don't like Carrie. No offense. Carrie's a lovely name. I'm not into it. It's not my name.
Did anyone ever call you Anne?
No, a lot of people will ask me if I have a nickname, and I'm like, yeah, it's Carrie Ann. Like, I don't know. I don't know how else to, because somebody was like, oh, that's a really long name. I'm like, it's exactly like Marianne with a K instead. Like, I don't know why it makes it any longer, any weirder, any stranger, any whatever. I've had a couple people call me Ka. The one person in my life that used to call me Ka, who is now passed, Missy Jin, was my Aunt Ginny, or Aunt Jin, or just Jin sometimes. I still really like Jin. She used to call me Kat, but she was born and raised in New York. So she called me up and go, Kat, oh my God, how you doing? And it was like, it's just sort of fit that kind of thing. My parents sometimes will call me Carrie, but they'll call me Carrie instead of Carrie. There's something about Carrie. You carry a bag. Like, there's nothing about Carrie that speaks to me in my mind. Yeah, so I'm Carrie Ann. Which is funny.
Now it makes me wonder.
Go ahead.
Now it makes me wonder if you're ever at airports and you're just like, oh yeah, this is my Carrie Ann bag, and
Right.
just see if anyone notices.
I mean, probably.
I mean,
maybe not.
with the right kind of accent, I guess. This is my Carrie Ann.
Carrie Ann. Yeah, I mean, I prefer Carrie Ann.
Khakis.
Yeah, I prefer cat. I prefer Carrie Ann, but nobody can say it. So
Carion.
no,
I'm
not
sorry, say it again.
not Carrie Ann space.
Carion.
Baby
Carrie
Better calls
Ann
you
five.
Canny Ann.
Cat like cat.
Cat.
Carrie,
Like-
like cat.
So, Carrie Ann?
That's the thing, and that's what everybody does. They go Carrie Ann. I mean, I guess if you're gonna Carrie Ann, it'll be fine. Carrie Ann is just a lot easier for a lot of people to say, so that's fine. Like
So you like the sharper A?
yes,
Okay.
the flatter A. Cat.
Baby did it cause you Canyon.
Yes, she does. It's like, yes, it's almost like a canyon. And I'm all right with that.
Canyon and Ben.
It's super adorable. Yeah. Yeah, she gets all
that's
of the
adorable.
syllables in there, so it's canyon.
Praise for Canyon and Ben every night. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Super adorable. Can totally eat that child up. Yeah, bet is still better than curry. Sure, yeah. But, just saying. Anyway, yeah. So, but, like Chris Radcliffe's screen name is Chris Radcliffe. And I will often refer to him, even in person, not just Chris. I will sometimes call him Chris Ratcliffe, as if somehow there's a different, like, Chris I need to differentiate against.
The underscore is silent.
Well, yes. I have been known
The
to.
underscore is silent.
I have been known to call Vax Hedrum just Vax, as opposed to Vax Hedrum to his face. Yeah, but I don't know. It's Dutta and Kitty. Like, that doesn't even faze me in the slightest.
And then I'm just Jared.
Well, also, you change your name all the flippin' time.
What?
Your Twitter handle.
I don't change my handle.
I suppose not the handle, but the
I
name on
change my
it.
name, though.
Yeah, all the
Because I
time.
come up with jokes for it.
That's fine, and I appreciate it. But yeah,
Can I not figure out how to keep my microphone on?
probably not.
Oh my gosh.
Well, here's the thing. If you play with the switch, you're going to get it wrong.
That's true.
It's like a USB plug. You got to plug it in 3 times.
That's right. That's absolutely true.
Change the screen name to just Jared.
Just Jared.
I think you've used that at some point.
Just Jared?
I think I have.
No problem.
Just Jared.
So.
I used to be just well, I've got an email address that's just when I signed up for Twitter, somebody had @DUTA, so I had to add @_DUTA, and then it just looked weird, so I had to add the underscore at the end of it. And what makes me mad is that this person they joined in March 2009.
If they done jack with it?
They have 1 tweet.
Ugh.
They are following 2 people, and somehow they have 207 followers.
Because everyone thinks it's you.
No, I don't.
Maybe.
I don't think so. Because I actually have a profile picture. This person's just had
probably all
an
bots.
orange egg. But I joined in October 2010, and that name was taken. And I've actually sent them messages and gotten no response. I'm like, you're not using Twitter. Can I
That's sort of like how we got TMRO on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine how hard it is for me to get Space Mike anywhere?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, Carrion is unusual enough where it's
Be early.
barely available.
Who dat?
Ta-da!
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
right?
Nice.
Oh, man. Well, is there anything else we want to talk about?
I don't have anything to talk about. I
So I interviewed Everyday Astronaut last time, right?
Yes.
So does that mean that Ben interviews him this time? No, probably not.
I don't know.
It'll probably still be me. Unless you want to interview him.
Either you or Jared.
let's make Mike do it.
Or let's pitch a... Yeah, we can do that
We still only have one live person.
too. Put me up on the guest screen and have him sitting in the interview chair.
Exactly. well, no. See, we can turn that TV just like your camera, so you'd be standing
That's true.
up or
We
whatever,
could still have you standing over there.
and switch sides so that he's on the.
I will say,
the other side
and
of the
I know
screen.
this sounds super stupid, but I will say that when I go into the observation deck area in order to sit down on the couch because there's still no chairs back here, I do feel like I'm leaving Mike by himself.
Yes.
In a weird
know,
way.
yes.
Like,
Isn't
because he's
that weird?
on screen and I'm like, okay, bye.
bye, Mike.
I've
See you
gotten
later.
so used to, like, referring to the screen as being Mike that when I leave, I'm like, oh, he's all alone
We
now.
need to go get one of those like remote presence robots,
Yes!
so that Mike can be like in studio, and then when it comes to time for the interview, he can
What?
like
That'd be so
wheel
much
himself
better.
into the studio
Yes.
the interview area.
Yes, that would be so much better.
Well, if it makes you feel any worse, I'm in reality alone the whole time.
Oh, no.
No.
Well, because I did. I was like, oh, well, Dutta's busy, so that's fine. And then I looked at the screen of Mike, and I was like, that's fine. It's just a screen. Like, I can go. I felt
Chris
bad.
Radcliffe. It's like the holographic doctor on Voyager. Doesn't anyone know how to shut me off?
Kinda. Like, I had to set you back up when I came into the studio and nobody else was here. And, like, the couch was still, like, where we left it last time. And Mike was way off in the what are we calling that room?
Edit bay.
The edit bay? Yeah. So I was like, oh, come on, Mike. Like, let's go. Put you over here now. To connect all the things. I wasn't even sure if I did it right. Like, transfer Mike into an R2 unit. That would also probably be fine. I don't know about an R2 unit. I think he needs to be in a C3PO unit. C3P Mike.
Yes, thank you for coming in and setting up. I had completely forgotten that the place
Oh,
was a
yeah.
mess.
No. I mean, because, I walked in and I was like, oh, crap. I gotta move that stupid couch by myself. Which is fine. I didn't mind doing it, but it was like, I learned that if you squat and you hold on, and then you can just basically, like,
The couch?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
good stuff.
a heavy couch.
It was fun.
It is quite a heavy couch.
That's yeah. But yeah, then I wasn't sure if I got, like, if I put the monitor back in place correctly or anything like that. After that, the MDF table,
Yeah.
very, very light.
After the couch.
After
yes.
the couch,
After the couch?
that MDF table was totally fine. No troubles with that at all.
Even with the other two inside.
Please state the nature of your space flight emergency.
Yes.
Oh, man. Something else, though, I was going to say about the Tim Dodd interview. Since we interviewed him fairly recently, maybe pitch this to Ben that maybe we could just have like a round table discussion with him about, I don't know what, but I don't know. Just an idea.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like since we interviewed him so recently, like I feel like we will run out of things to talk about as far as like what he's got going on. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure that's the
I don't
case
know.
because it seems like a lot has changed since then.
He's actually,
We
not to ruin the interview, but yeah, he has done quite a bit since
When-
last we spoke.
Yeah, when he was here last, he was telling us about all of his plans and stuff. We actually went out for it was Kitty's birthday dinner, right? Mm-hmm. At Storytellers.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't there. So.
Yeah, we surprised her. You were virtual there too.
Didn't he?
Yeah. He had a lot of things that were going on his plate, and he just happens to be in town again. He's got like a speaking thing and
Good, exciting stuff.
Yeah. And if he doesn't bring me one of those T-shirts, I think I might just disown him. Can we get NASA Jim to do an interview on the show again? I'm sure that will be coming up very shortly. Lur, no worries there. NASA Jim, as even hanging out with us today, has got a lot of great ideas going, and he and Ben are brainstorming. I don't know if any of that's getting into the Slack channel, but there's
No.
okay. That's probably both good and bad because you guys will be really excited about it, but at the same time, I wouldn't want all of that to get out either. Kitty is constructing a human. Human is trying to break out every once in a while. I think the tiny human is just trying to get some more room. You know, you give him an inch, right?
Well, the problem is you feed it and then it grows.
Right. Right.
Nope.
And there really isn't like a way to get around the whole like not feeding it thing.
Yeah.
You can't like say, well, this food is for me, so you can't have any.
Right.
Right. Thankfully, it
No,
is a
I say
tiny
that to
human.
my dogs all the time.
We did say it's
Yeah, but they're not they're not attached to you by some sort of like I don't know umbilical cord.
right.
There we go.
This
That's
is
the
very
word.
true.
As you said earlier so eloquently, tethers always cause problems.
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Andre, that would be Kitty sitting behind.
Oh
Mike.
no.
Should I ask? Probably not. Is that safe for Scott? For on
No,
air?
but my friend of mine sent me something.
Okay. There you go.
Wow.
There's Kitty. And
An ever rare
and baby
cat
Kitty.
on air.
See, it's because you're wearing black, man. Like,
Well,
I know. Well, wait, stand in front of me.
I was like, what do
You can block me. There you go. Not a velociraptor.
Wrong.
It's a tiny human.
That's wrong.
It is wrong. My friend is like, I wonder why the comments are disabled on it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's, yeah.
So there you go.
All right.
Belly has its own atmosphere. That's amazing.
Yeah, Kitty's actually doing an amazing job
I like it.
making a human
I like it
because
too.
she's simultaneously losing weight and keeping the baby on track for size and weight. It's actually kind of awesome.
That's tough.
Yeah, no problem on the clarification. We did find out it was a human. I always sort of secretly hope for some sort of dinosaur. A reptile.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they are controlling the world, right?
I think it's neat.
Something like that.
There's a Best Western, I want to say it's in Denver. And I'm not like a huge Best Western fan, don't get me wrong. But this particular hotel has like an affinity for dinosaurs. And they have, their Facebook page is hilarious. And so anything that, I know, it's super random. A Rafflecopter. Yeah, that would be nice too, I suppose. Let me see if I can find it. They're, any sort of funny dinosaur-y kind of thing that comes up, they'll post it on their Facebook page. Okay. And there was one recently that was like, add ing to the end of the title of a movie and then give us the new plot line. And they chose Jurassic Parking, and it was like teaching dinosaurs how to park correctly. And it was like the scene of the T-Rex with like the Jeep all flipped over, and the T-Rex looks like it's all pissed off. Made me laugh
Not the
so
Jeep.
hard. Yeah.
Oh no,
That's
not the
Western
Jeep.
Denver Southwest. It's like they have the funniest stuff, and it just it makes me want to go
The
there.
Dino Hotel.
Look how cute, but like with the MST3K, like
Oh my gosh, these people are hip.
they're hilarious.
They're hip and in.
Like, that's a cute necklace. There we go. Teaching dinosaurs how to drive.
That's pretty swell.
So cute. It's so
That
cute.
is very cute.
So if you're ever in Denver, please stay at the Best Western Denver Southwest, because those people are hilarious.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
there
like
we go.
how and or why they came up with this, but it just makes me laugh so hard.
Why are they so like dinosaur?
I don't know.
Oriented.
There's probably like some story
It's
that
it's called they're the Dino Hotel.
yeah.
And Denver, Colorado. Colorado is known for dinosaur
bones.
fossils and
Yeah.
all that, so that's probably proximity to there.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Right? They're hilarious. Like, I love these people. I haven't been to Denver in years, but if I ever go, like, this is where I want to stay. Because I think they're awesome. Awesome people.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I know it's super random, like, to follow one singular... It's not even a brand. I'm not even following Best Western as a brand. It's just this one hotel. But I think they're hilarious. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. All right. Anything else?
That's all I can think of. I'm toast.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just need to finish the studio this week.
Yep.
No problem.
That's actually not wholly unfeasible.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I
I
mean
don't...
just those two panels.
I don't mind painting. Yeah, it's just. But like the shot doesn't even have to be that big though. We could still fake it on the other side if that one panel. Which panel did you?
No, I've got
Both of them?
The other one almost ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to put the extensions on it and then pucky it up and sand the crap out of it,
Nice.
and then sand the crap out of two,
Right.
and then paint them.
Well, I can be here this week. So.
Let's do it.
Yay!
Yay! We're gonna do it.
All right.
Okay.
We're good.
I guess that's it.
Well, I guess we'll wrap this up. Time for me to go get some breakfast / lunch.
Yep. Brunch time.
That's called brunch, Mike.
You mean Leonard?
Yeah, but most people who brunch like also did breakfast, so I don't know.
No, I never breakfast and brunch. Otherwise, that'd be called second breakfast. Everybody knows that.
And on that note,
No, it's
Okay,
time
Tim.
to end.
Whatever you say.
all right.
Thanks
Bye,
everybody for
everybody.
watching.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
later.
Bye.